can have up to 200 investors before being
Okay.
listed. Okay.
Cool.
They buy their stocks and trade, and maybe they trade in between them.
Okay.
Does that have a face value then? And everyone has the same, or in that also the stock price rises and goes low? I mean, there
Face,
must be a fixed price, right?
face value meaning when your promoters sat and their company
Okay.
was perhaps big enough that it can be split into some parts. I'm not
Okay.
saying 1 million parts, I'm not saying 10,000 parts. It's a big enough company. If today you and I sit and we establish our own firm
Okay.
and we per se we have invested, or the company is valued at 1,000 rupees,
Okay.
and we want, you and I want to issue 10 shares. It's a limited company, it's my company. I just want to issue 10 shares. I just want to have 10 shareholders.
Okay.
So 1,000 rupees divided by 10, 100 would be the share face value. Probably highest any company has ever have, but that's how face value is determined.
Okay, another question for when the company gets listed. So
True.
that time the face value is decided, and certain evaluation corporations are hiding, such as Kotak Securities or ICICI
True.
Securities, to evaluate
Yeah.
the companies, and then they come up with the price that goes
Yes.
for the IPO. So
Yes.
one question: before being listed, the
Huh.
people that were holding a stake in that company, and after being listed,
True.
I mean, there must be a difference between the price that they might have bought.
Absolutely. There has to be.
So yeah, for example, when it was not listed, I bought a share, I mean, before it was above 200 members, for let's say 5 rupees, and then
Okay.
the face value was decided maybe 2 rupees or 10 rupees. That is different from
Huh.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So what?
so maybe they might have incurred a instant loss or profit, I don't know, or maybe their
Nahi,
stock must have been
nahi.
split, I don't know.
You're confusing two concepts here.
Okay.
Original face value pay if you got one share. If I say 10 rupees is the face value, Saksham gets one share.
Okay.
Tomorrow I wake up and decide there needs to be liquidity in the market. I want to attract more investors. So I'll
Okay.
immediately slash down the face value from 10 to 2.
Okay.
Meaning one share was 10 rupees, now one share is 2 rupees. So if I have to compensate for you, how many shares will you have now?
Yeah. Okay. So what you're saying is that like we have heard of the term bonus shares or stock splits.
Hmm.
That might have that maybe happen. That happens when the company gets listed for the IPO, so that they
See,
can
not
get
necessarily.
compensated.
Not
Okay.
necessarily.
Yeah.
IPO, you're being very specific with an event. IPO is
Okay. Okay.
nothing but a company going public.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It was private, it's public now. Stock split can either happen before IPO. So
Yeah. Yeah.
original face value, they won't keep the original face value at 10 rupees. They'll naturally keep it at 5 rupees.
Okay.
Okay, they want to start their share at a face value of 5 when they're in the public session, when they're in public. But what happens is, and it happened recently with a very dear stock of mine, and just a cautionary advice: whichever stock names we are taking here, these are just for examples, and they are not supposed to be bought tomorrow in the open market.
Yeah.
Cool. Even if I'm referring that it's my investment, I have my reasons. You have to do your own due diligence. Cool. Just a cautionary note. Anyways, it happened with one of my dear stocks that it was trading at 1,200 rupees. They announced bonus of 1:3. You'll get one share if you're holding three shares. So the value, the price, and the face, they were issuing bonus shares. So the
Yeah.
price dropped immediately because now there is more liquidity. Now share ka number is higher.
Okay. Okay.
Market cap comprised of two things. Remember, number of equity shares
Equity
into
share.
the current price.
Current price.
So
Yeah.
current price को cut down करा, you have to increase the number of shares.
Okay.
नहीं तो market cap suddenly बहुत बड़ा drop आ जाएगा, which
Yeah.
cannot happen in a company per se. So
Yeah.
what happens with yeah,
Okay.
go
So
into
another
it.
question. For example, imagine a company ABC, it's private limited, and
Okay,
the company had decided that if privately we will sell a share to the promoters for 10 rupees per se. Okay.
cool.
So I maybe bought 1,000 or 1 lakh, as many shares I might have bought, and then when the company was being listed, they decided to keep the face value same and at 10 rupees, and then
Okay,
at the IPO there is a cutoff price, and then there is a listing price. So what I was
Yes.
thinking, that we as a retail investors
Huh.
make profit between the difference of cutoff price or and the listing price, and the promoters, I mean, they get maybe more. For example,
Of course.
any share that has most shares that we see have face value less than 10. I think majority shares have face value less than 10,
What's
and
your
there are
question?
many shares, yeah, and there are many shares that are listed above rupees 1000. So the
Cool.
promoters might have made like crores of rupees in a
Yeah.
week span. So I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So what cutoff price is key? Okay. See, suppose I'm immensely rich or I'm immensely
Okay.
poor, and you're immensely rich, right? So you can obviously, if we both can afford one lot of that very company, there has to be an uppercut. Otherwise, you're unbiasedly rich, so you can pitch in more money, and obviously your bid is higher, so you'll get an allotment.
Yeah.
But that is not how a fair system works. A fair system works in a range. You might get the bid in the lower end also, you might get it at the market price, or you might get it a little higher on the topmost end of the bid.
Yeah.
So that is one thing. Number two, listing price, जो जिस दिन list हो जाती है company and you get a listing gain. This term
Yeah.
has been popping up since January, right?
Yeah.
Companies बहुत सारी list हुई हैं and they've given massive returns on the day itself.
Yep.
That is decided on various factors. Even
Yeah.
I'm not very thorough with it, but I can tell you demand is number one. Because when Paytm's IPO buzz was there, Paytm is going public, the amongst the promoters and like the institutional investors who were already holding shares of Paytm from its, from the day Paytm was born, they made massive returns. Each share got like 21,000 rupees upwards moment.
Okay.
So if I was holding one share of Paytm the day it was born at 10, 15 rupees, I immediately, you get the idea.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
that
get the
was
idea.
that was pre-market. जब market में आता है for retail people, there are plenty of
Yeah.
layers to it. There are plenty of processes to it. Okay, this is general doubts. आगे we'll take doubts further. Let's just begin with the session. अब कोई आना चाहता है तो they can just join in. Sorry. ठीक है. Last time we were discussing these couple of things. ठीक है. We had covered market cap. I'll just quickly go through it. Cap is nothing but market cap is nothing but the total number of outstanding shares into the current price. Meaning, when I say shares, when I say equity, I'll let me explain you. Let me explain it to you. We are debt. Do you guys understand what is debt? Debt word sune. Can someone tell what is debt?
The
The
amount of money or assets that you owe to
You
some.
owe. ठीक है. OWE. Equity is everything that you own. ठीक है. तो whatever you own, split in equal parts becomes equity shares. Loosely, or the street language of it becomes share prices, share market. ठीक है? That is the difference between debt and equity, and ये equity क्या होती है? Current price high low, this is day high and day low. This one is 52-week high and 52-week low. They should have mentioned. Stock PE is nothing but price to earnings ratio. This tells you a street sort of sentiment. What people on the stock market street here in India refer to as Dalal Street, which is in Mumbai, and in United States, it's of course the Wall Street. What they are willing to pay to earn 1 rupees from this company. They are willing to pay 26.4 rupees to earn one share, to earn 1 rupee from this company. They have so much trust. Cool. Are you with me? Just a simple yes.
Yep.
Cool. Book value is nothing but if God forbidden this company collapses, what value, what money will it owe to each shareholder for one share? Per share, it will owe every shareholder 380 rupees. Dividend yield is nothing but a small piece of bonus is announced per share if the company is making immense profits. So that percentage is taken on the face value. This one here, HDFC. I'm pretty sure they've gone through a couple of splits. Its face value is now 1 rupees. Return on equity is nothing but like had I held this company for a fixed period of time for 1 year, I would have gained 16.5%. Like your traditional FDs give good old days 7. Now they give around 5, 5.65%. तो उसके अगेंस्ट this tells कि अगर तुमने HDFC में वो पैसे इन्वेस्ट करे होते, you would have made 16.5%. Cool. ROCE is nothing but it's a metric, it's a profitability ratio that a company has, and all the investors' valuations they do. They, this ratio is very important for them. That if a company was investing 1,000 rupees, they are gaining 6% out of it. Okay, on their input. So return on capital employed. If we start a company, we put in 1,000 rupees, we have generated a profit of 1,060. Yeah. Any doubts?
No, sir.
Chalo, cool. This is nothing but your stock का movement for the last 1 year. We can have a maximum कि जब से company list हुई थी 55 से it has run up to 1,600 1 year में. Okay, just a small update and a small word of caution. Last March में market crashed. 2020 में market crashed, right? Because of the COVID situation. You can see a huge fall. So whatever returns or runs companies' stock prices have given from there, it stands irrelevant because it was one of a kind of event. It is not that companies outperformed from the last year. It is just that the market sentiment got shaky, the prices came down, and they ran up again because obviously there's a better tomorrow. But that doesn't guarantee you it'll make those exponential returns year on year. So my recommendation is if you're searching for any company, search for 3 years and 5 years. And if you want to just make a swing trade, refer 6 months. But 1 year for at least the year 2020, 21 is a faulty metric. Are you getting my point? Like, why was this recommendation made?
Yeah.
ठीक है 2020 में अब नॉर्मली लो हो गए थे बिकॉज ऑफ जस्ट वन ऑफ अ काइंड इवेंट. तो उसको देख के ये मत सोच लेना अगर 2020 या 21 वाले 1 ईयर रिटर्न्स 50% थे 130% थे 2000% भी है. आई शेयर अ स्टॉक विद यू 2000% रिटर्न्स भी बने हैं ऑन स्टॉक्स. वो सिर्फ वन ऑफ अ काइंड इवेंट था. इट्स नॉट गोना हैपन अगेन. आई विश इट नेवर हैपेंस अगेन. And if it does, I hope you're all sitting in positions. Anyways, revenue is standard. I'm not going to explain it again. It's increasing. That's a good sign. It increased till here, increased till here, became stagnated, decreased, increased again. A fair metric which should keep on increasing. Interest is what interest is companies generating, expenses. So today the point we need to look at is this. When you're looking at a finance balance sheet, this financing profit and financing margin percent comes. If you remember, we were looking at an industrial balance sheet earlier, which was of RIL. उधर operating profit margin था और operating profit था. Yeah, any doubts? Cool. So in companies का business is simple. They lend money, they make sure they put a hefty interest to rope in the money back. While roping in the money back, उनके बीच में जो डिफरेंस होता है, if you're defaulting तो तुम्हारा इंटरेस्ट बढ़ जाएगा, तुम्हारे assets सीज होने शुरू हो जाएंगे. That financing profit margin keeps on increasing. Cool. Other income could be anything. Other income could be anything. We've discussed it n number of times. They sold off a piece of land. They abandoned their offices. They cut down on the employees. Could be anything. Depreciation is again depreciation of assets. Surprisingly, trailing. This TTM means trailing 12 months, meaning today is 7th September, trailing 12 months from previous 7th September. It stands at 0, which is amazing. Profit before taxes, the raw profit, government takes a piece. So the net profit is seen and the net profit should keep on increasing in a good company. This is a blue chip stock, but if you're valuing mid caps, small caps, or you see balance sheets, this is a criteria which should keep on increasing. Share capital, I've told this before, it is the money which a company is making by selling off its equity. So if it's increasing, meaning company is, sort of giving out more shares. Reserves is what a company owns in its treasuries, in the form of cash, or it has hefty reserves. So if anything goes south tomorrow, they will be able to sort of cover up from it. Now, one thing you may see, and I think I talked about this in the end, this company has heavy borrowings. This was not seen in Reliance's balance sheet. Go back, compare borrowing. See the magnitude with which they have tried to reduce it. If you see the trend, it is increasing because it's a growing company. They take on loans to expand. 138, 168, 194, 217. This was the time when Geo was in full swing, so they had picked up a lot of money. But their nature is to reduce it. They want these borrowings off of its balance sheet. So why is it that HDFC has hefty amounts of loans numbers on its balance sheets?
It's a bank, and Reliance is not.
Okay, meaning
So banks के functions में मतलब उनको borrow करना होता है ना पैसे, like they have to take the money from the customers and then give out loans from the same money.
absolutely, absolutely.
So
Reliance ka core business is to make and sell a product.
yeah,
Make,
sale of
huh?
हाँ वही
It,
FMCG और वो सब कुछ.
I mean, it's in the category of making sales of a product.
Yeah.
So they're taking a little money to develop that product and put it out. Geo was one of it. Oil to chemical business is one of it. But the banks function on the principle of hefty borrowings. Usko lend out karenge and they rope in the money back with interest. So you will always see this number going crazy high, and it should. It tells that ki a bank is developing its strength to sort of be capable to take more money in and give that money out. So jitna acha bank hoga, it will have higher. This number will be way higher in that one. Other liabilities again could be anything. Non-controlling interest, ठीक है. It could be anything. जो पैसे ले रखे हैं उस पे कुछ interest आ रहा है, they have to take care of that. Offices बनने हैं, are they expanding, are they hiring more employees? All these figures are in crores, keep that in mind. तो उस पे जाता है. If they have hired a lot of people, you'll see this number increasing in terms of employees because COVID में तुमने एकदम से fire कर दिए, but things are getting back normal, your customer base is increasing, फिर से तुम्हें employees चाहिए, तो वहां पे खर्च हो जाएगा, right? Current works in progress, none. That means they have their fixed assets in place. Fixed assets could be again anything, gross block, accumulated depreciation. Cool. Could be anything. तुम्हारे टेबल चेयर हो गए, could be anything. Because banks के offices होते हैं. Investments, these are I'll show you something. HDFC Bank owns a small pieces of various companies. So cross company we talked about last time कि हर company अपने से maybe अपने core business में, maybe अपने partners में, maybe अपने competitors में भी sometimes this share partnership. तो उसमें investments करती हैं. Maruti and Toyota have a lucrative deal. दोनों के पास 25% of each other है. तभी अगर तुम देखोगे उनके थोड़े डिजाइन्स एंड थोड़ी R&D has started to become similar. Same goes for Renault and Nissan. And a very recent one is Exide है ना, बैटरीज की कंपनी है. हमने सुना है फ्लैगशिप बैटरीज आती हैं इन्वर्टर्स में, कार्स में. दो टाइप की बैटरीज आती हैं, एमरॉन और एक्साइड, है ना. तो एक्साइड जो बैटरी कंपनी थी, उनका एक नॉन कोर बिजनेस स्टार्ट हुआ था, एक्साइड लाइफ. दे स्टार्टेड देयर लाइफ इंश्योरेंस डिवीजन. डाइवर्सिफिकेशन पर्पस, नथिंग क्रेजी. दे वांटेड टू डाइवर्सिफाई कि हम बैटरीज में तो किल कर ही रहे हैं, लेट्स स्टार्ट ऑफ अ न्यू ब्रांच. And it got acquired by HDFC Life. And both the stock performed like crazy since last week because there's a value unlocking. Exide is now again focusing on its battery business. EV ka boom aa raha hai, and HDFC Life is expanding. It took over a massive customer base एकदम से. तुम खुद उतना बिल्ड करते टाइम लगता, तुम आउटराइटली जाके एक कंपेटिटर खरीद लाए, नहीं टाइम लगा. सो ऐसे क्रॉस इन्वेस्टमेंट्स होती रहती हैं. सो दिस इज दैट इन्वेस्टमेंट अमाउंट. Okay, cash flows, we talked about this. Cash from operating activity meaning आपके core businesses जो आप ऑपरेट कर रहे हो जिस डोमेन में, उससे आप कितना कैश कमा पा रहे हो. Do not be surprised if this is negative. ठीक है, scenes were tight, banks suffer loans, their NPAs are crazy high, some quarters, some years. So this number can be low, doesn't really matter. But March 21, it's fairly positive, which is a good sign. कैश फ्रॉम इन्वेस्टिंग, ये देख लो. फिक्स्ड एसेट्स परचेज, फिक्स्ड एसेट्स सोल्ड, इन्वेस्ट इन सब्सिडरीज. अभी आई गिव यू एन एग्जांपल ना कि एचडीएफसी की एक एचडीएफसी लाइफ है, एक अगर तुम्हें पता हो एचडीएफसी इज लाइक एन एनबीएफसी आल्सो, हाउसिंग दीवान फाइनेंस कंपनी. तो हाउसिंग लोन्स देते हैं, उसमें भी हो सकते हैं इनकी इन्वेस्टमेंट्स हो कि अपनी ही साथ की कंपनी है. So that is
Cash flow अगर negative है, it means कि money is going away from the company. So like banks के case में वो कैसे होता है? Loan defaults.
primarily. If it's not a Vijay Mallya, we'll call it loan defaults. If it's a Vijay Mallya or a Mr. Nirav Modi, we'll call it a scam.
So how come March 2019 when everything was fine and March 2020 when everything was not fine, like March 2019 के उससे almost 4 times ज़्यादा है. So how is that like happening?
This could be because March 2019 meaning previous fiscal year. March 2018 so something could have gone south. I was not tracking the markets then.
Okay.
But March 2020 meaning ये March 21 में इसलिए नहीं दिखा because in the second wave it did not impact, so it recovered, but it is previous fiscal year. So
हाँ.
तेरे को, if you want to understand 2019 2020, you have to see this number.
Okay.
यहाँ पे COVID का effect should have been there. I agree. It is not. That's good.
हाँ अच्छा है.
That's good. It recovered. Okay. इसका proof चलो. I'll give you this proof via chart. We are looking at the 1 year chart. See, October में यहाँ था. It made a good high on February. March में it took a dip. Consolidated moves. Like इस range में फंस गया. This is not a good performing stock. You see this? It made a high. It couldn't sustain. Came back down. It's a flattish movement. This is not how good companies perform. This is because this time पे second wave था. But because our financial calendar is rigged that way कि March to March ही चलता है, तो numbers get skewed ना that way in their favor. कि हाँ देखो company survived COVID very smartly. Nothing else.
Okay.
Okay, and the most concerning figure is net cash flow. We don't care if your core business is making you money or your financing activity or your investing activity. ठीक है, फाइनेंसिंग एक्टिविटी मीनिंग आपने शेयर्स दे रखे हैं, उनसे आपको कुछ पैसा आ रहा है, बिल्कुल आ रहा है, लोग आपका शेयर खरीद रहे हैं तो पैसे आएंगे. कंपनीज बॉन्ड्स सुने, डिबेंचर्स सुने, ये वही डिबेंचर्स है. क्या उनसे आपकी कुछ इनकम हो रही है? बिल्कुल हो रही है. आपने बोरोइंग्स ले रखी थी मैसिव आउटसाइड ऑफ व्हाट योर कोर बिजनेस अलाउज, उससे आपको कुछ रीपेमेंट करनी पड़ रही है? बिल्कुल करनी पड़ रही है. डिविडेंड्स, वी टॉक्ड अबाउट दिस. क्या होते हैं? प्रॉफिट बहुत सारा आया, आपने छोटा छोटा पीस इन्वेस्टर्स को दिया, तो नेगेटिव है ना. आपने इन्वेस्टर्स को दिया तो वो आउटफ्लो में शो करेगा, नेगेटिव शो करेगा, विच इज फाइन. इट इज अ गुड थिंग दैट इट इज नेगेटिव. मिलना चाहिए डिविडेंड, बट इन अगेन हेल्दी रेशियो में चलती हैं चीजें. But the net cash flow is good. Company has been positive all throughout. This is how blue chip stocks look like. And see, 2019, something must have gone south. I was not tracking the markets then, but अगर इनका net इतना ही negative आ गया तो ROE, return on equity is fine. This is again nothing but कि अगर तुमने 2013 से 14 में होता, 22 होता, तो March 2020 में invest करते till 2021 16% होता. This is it. Shareholding pattern we've talked about. Promoters are nothing but the original owners of the shares, owners of the company. So it is all HDFC. They have not given names of individuals, which is fine. FIIs are foreign institutional investors. DIIs are, see, SBI Bank. Why is SBI holding an HDFC का share? Because they believe that their competitor is good. उन्होंने कर रखा है. उनका एक ETF है Nifty 50. उसमें उन्होंने for that ETF they have purchased 3.62% of this company. HDFC की खुद ही एक सब्सिडरी होगी, ट्रस्टी कंपनी लिमिटेड अकाउंट, तो via that it might also be considered in a promoter क्योंकि HDFC ही है, तो इसमें DIIs में listed है. ICIC has it. Government has a stake because it's a big company. Public is people like you and me. ICICI Prudential is another segment of ICICI. Any doubts whatsoever?
Yeah, I have a doubt. Can you scroll up where the financing profit material is given in the profit and loss tab?
Yeah.
So first of all, can you explain what does this term financing profit mean? Financing profit. Yeah.
Good. So financing profit is nothing but firms जो पैसे raise करती है ना, like financing profit.
Okay.
Okay, give me a second. How do I put it in simpler terms? Mostly it comes from pledging of shares or Revenues के exchange में, if there's any money coming in, this is how financing profit is determined. But in case of banks, it's very specific. A portion of revenues will be paid to investors,
Okay.
right?
So if the as we can see over the decade, the financing profit has grown like exponentially. And if we take a look at any other bank, for example, the top Indian banks like
Okay.
ICICI, Kotak, these two private banks, and even SBI, India's largest bank, they all have their financing profit in negative all throughout the decade. Not even
ठीक
a
है.
single quarter or an annual year where
हाँ.
they must have reported positive financing profits. So why is that? I don't know. I don't understand this term at all. But yeah, this was a very confusing stuff for me.
Okay, so this data which I am seeing here is from 2010, and I do not remember where that scam with ICICI Bank happened, where
Okay.
one of their vice president lended a humongous amount of money to her husband, and he fled away with the money. So if you're talking about 2010, or if it happened before that, ICICI has literally rebuilt itself. It was a
Okay.
very good stock. It was trading at, see, it went high, it came back down. It really went high, it came back down. So I am not sure when that scam happened, but there was a scam with ICICI Bank. I'm pretty sure it happened here. See, the stock
Okay.
even took a hit.
Yeah.
You will have to
That's a
check that.
massive dip.
So the point being, some misery can happen. So always remember one thing: in a growing economy, banks are the prime pillars of a growing economy.
Yeah.
But banks are also the most vulnerable to such scams. You'll never see an RIL reporting such a scam. You'll never see, most likely, an Infosys reporting such a scam. But banks से because banks function ही ऐसे करते हैं कि आपको पैसा दे दिया, on what? Trust, yes. कुछ assets होते हैं, yes. But are
Yeah.
those assets equal to that amount जिस पे तुम लोन ले रहे हो? अगर होते तो तुम लोन ही क्यों लेते, right? So it is leverage. People
Okay.
buy 10 times. उनके assets होंगे 1,000, they'll get they are eligible for a loan of 10,000. इस बंदे का 1,000 तो है ही. He wants to expand, he can take a 10 time loan or something. वो चीज है. Chalo, with that, we'll be moving towards a very cool IT company, and I'll give you reference why I'm calling it a very cool IT company. Have you guys heard Infosys? नाम तो सुना है. It comes to college also for
Yeah.
Yeah.
placements. Mass rec attitude. ठीक है. Because they're mass recruiters, because they need a lot of employees to keep the systems up and running. अच्छा, इन्फोसिस का तुम डेली एप्लीकेशन कहीं देखते हो? जैसे रिलायंस का तो पता है, रिलायंस फ्रेश है, जियो है, और कौन से ब्रांड्स हैं? HCL टेक का भी सीन, HCL प्रोडक्ट्स हैं, बट इट इज मेनली आईटी कंसल्टिंग. हैव यू गाइस एवर heard any product of Infosys?
भैया इनकम टैक्स की साइट.
Perfect. इनकम टैक्स की साइट का प्रोजेक्ट was given to Infosys. ठीक है. Government has not outsourced it to anyone. Government itself hasn't made it. Infosys को दे दिया. And in fact, it glitched in June, July.
Yeah,
So
they messed it up.
Infosys being very fine company, very fine performing stock price, good leadership, built by hardcore engineers from ground up, but happens. That's how I put it. See, such a beautiful performing stock. If you would have bought like 139 pay, you would have been sitting at 1700. Very nice stock. But the cool thing which I'll strictly jump up to, see their borrowings. I don't even know what -0 means. I don't know. But they literally had no borrowings for the past couple of years. Probably they have expanded, that's why they did, but their borrowings are very low and their reserves are phenomenally high. I mean, look at the difference. Even if they had borrowed 5,000 crores, for God knows what reason, could be taxes, could be expansion plans, could be benefits. You guys could be keep bahar se utha ke, we'll put it out and we'll, because we have the reserves. So why spoil the reserves? And probably they have sort of tried to pay it off. 200 crores they've paid off. That is why the reserves have also sort of decreased and not come out that great. But that happens. Otherwise, their liabilities, it's not growing exponentially, right? Fixed assets, current works in progress are still very low. Why? Because this is an IT company. Inka, you'll see, I'll show you. see their dividend, 15 rupees, 12 rupees per share, 9 rupees per share. So in 2020, they in total gave 21 rupees per share, which is very, very high in comparison to any other company. I'll show you. 2020, they did not even announce a dividend. And see, I was talking about this split, stock split. So from an old face value of 2 rupees, it got split up to new face value of 1 rupee. फिर डिविडेंड सी चलो इनके 2019 के देख लो दे हैव जस्ट अनाउंस्ड 10 रुपीस पर शेयर इन्फोसिस का 2019 में डिविडेंड 8 रुपीस तो यहीं पे आ गया 10 रुपीस यहाँ पे आ गया 14 so it was 22 rupees almost double why any particular reason you can think of
ज्यादा प्रॉफिट हो रहा होगा
cool in simpler terms yes अब इसको मैं ज्यादा प्रॉफिट क्यों कहता हूँ या हम क्यों कह सकते हैं in fact my research paper is based on that so I'll give you a little more context profit net profit see are these number as high as RIL no but it is a top company it's a blue chip company but इनका investment कुछ नहीं है because it is an IT company they are just their literal investment is employees वो भी they hire at very decent salaries because India में abundance है India has abundance of IT engineers that is why their investment amount is not that high their capital pumping in is not that high as opposed to other capital intensive industries इसलिए IT stocks are very favorite because they have bright future and they give beautiful dividends caution again it's not a recommendation it's just something which we have noticed which I have personally noticed their operating margins are just fine 34% was good went through a couple of phases couldn't sustain but 25 plus is considered very amazing share capital is intact got diluted after March 2016 could be anything reserves we've talked about any other thing to look for yeah cash from operating activities see core business meaning IT consultancies was flourishing IT business is growing so inka cash from operating activity is fine cash from investing activity is same but I'll show you one more balance sheet those guys were investors in Zomato since day one and they in fact during the IPO they sold their piece any guesses Zomato में कौन सी IT कंपनी शुरू से इन्वेस्टेड थी एंड ड्यूरिंग IPO they released their stake चलो I'll show you the company then बाद में okay debtor days is how much for how many days your debt is good for आप कितना वो debt pay कर सकते हो the lower the better I mean the higher नहीं होना चाहिए कि बढ़ता ही जा रहे debt आप वो करते ही जा रहे हो should be lower working capital days is pretty understandable ROC is nothing but return on capital employed which is pretty high see hence my point proven कि अपने invested value को बहुत सही तरीके से यूज करते हैं तो इनको ज्यादा पैसे स्टार्टिंग से इन्वेस्ट ही नहीं करने पड़ते cool promoter holding is diluted could be a lot of reasons FII is still you see these were the original guys who started the company so they have lent it out in pretty solid hands foreign institutional investments government of Singapore so foreign governments invest in Indian companies and vice versa government pension fund global Abu Dhabi investments you'll see a lot of investors because this is it's a very good company and IT is a very growing sector enabling clients to execute strategies for the digital transformation strategic objective is to build a sustainable organization cool the company which held Zomato ka shares and lent it out was InfoEdge which is also owner of Naukri.com so इनका NSE symbol is also Naukri इसकी भी balance sheet देख लो see borrowings 111 I'm pretty sure I've not studied why this is one but I can tell you one क्यों है अगर इतनी अच्छी कंपनी है तो one भी नहीं होनी चाहिए 000 दिखनी चाहिए 2021 और one is क्यों है could be any tax reason could be to maintain or churn up their balance sheet ठीक है but IT companies में हमेशा कम होती है reserves massive increase 345 से they've gone to 5331 So what Sanya and I are researching upon is also this कि these IT guys they sit on huge data. तो ये data को इतना smartly leverage करते हैं ना कि their profitability margins shoot up. ठीक है. Sanya, if you would like to add something, Sanya here. I think she joined the meet. Beach में. Yeah, she's here. If you want to add something, you can. But maybe so finance investing activities. So they were investors in Zomato. March 2022, I'm pretty sure this number is going positive. ROCE is slightly off because they are return on capital employed because they invest in a lot of startups. New age startups, mein InfoEdge is pretty popular to be the investor. Could be a reason. Acha, we missed one topic: insider trades. Insider trades are nothing but institutional level pay. Is there a block buying or selling of some quantities of shares? So that is for a public company made public, and this declaration here is legal. What people get caught for is कि illegal तरीके से they buy and sell shares, blocks of shares based on tips, based on not supposed to be known information per se. कि वो खुद कि उनको वो information share नहीं करनी चाहिए थी because आप जब एक public company होते हो ना, virtually everything gets shared. What is going to happen? See, I'll correlate this with an example. वो सब शोध है. ठीक है, तो ब्लॉक्स में जो भी शेयर्स बाय एंड सेल होते हैं ओपन मार्केट में उसकी इंफॉर्मेशन भी आपको मिल जाती है. अदर स्टफ इज प्रीटी स्टैंडर्ड. आई विल टेल यू व्हाई आई एम सेइंग कि इनसाइडर इंफॉर्मेशन इंपॉर्टेंट है. Reliance share was not performing good till August. You can see there's a lot of fluctuations, but since 14-15 August, there might have been a certain release of information that Reliance is finally coming out with their JioPhone, which is in collaboration with Google. That is why people started picking up Reliance's share in bulk quantities, and it is not stopping. Agle hafte, when it is, I think it's releasing on the occasion of Ganesh Chaturthi. Pretty in stuff, which is cool. It's a smart marketing move also. It's very religious that way. It's a good omen. But that's Reliance for you, and that is how this news and stock prices are correlated.